What is up? My name is Matt Workman for Cinematography Database, and in this video we're going to be reviewing an app called Storyboarder that my friend Charles Forman wrote. It is a really great storyboard app dedicated for storyboard artists, made by a storyboard artist or a filmmaker. It's really cool, and the best part for you is that it's free. And in this video I'm going to be taking you through a quick demo and tour, and I'm going to try to make a little animated storyboard. I'm not the best 2D artist in the world, but I'm going to do my best, and I hope you guys enjoy this. It's a good time. So here we are in Storyboarder, and I'm going to start from the top and go across and kind of just do a quick demo and how this is all laid out. What we have here are 6 different brushes, and if you let your mouse hover over this one long enough, it'll tell you. This is the light pencil, and it has the hotkey for 1. This is the regular pencil, hotkey is 2. This is the pen, hotkey is 3. This is a brush, hotkey is 4. This is a note pen, hotkey is 5. And this is an eraser, hotkey is 6. So if we start with the light pencil, and you can change the color of it up here, but I'm just going to leave it as the default. You can start drawing. So I'm going to draw like, I don't know, a really bad picture of a face to start here. I haven't really focused on 2D for a while. I've been doing a lot of 3D, as you guys may know, but I did do 2D for just a little bit there. So I'm going to just kind of roughly sketch out a person's face here. Nothing too crazy. We're not getting into like real details here. We're just kind of like figuring out our proportions. And with the face, not that this is a drawing tutorial, we're really concerned with the 2 eyes to nose ratio, like this triangle that's formed here. And then we're going to be looking at the nose to the mouth ratio like this, right? So these ratios are important to get right, and you can draw your little guidelines here if you want to try to get them like this. I'm just going to sketch this out really quickly here. Just kind of loose strokes here. Get this in there. Kind of drop a bottom lip, a chin. The face shape's a little crazy, but that's okay. This is the light pencil layer, the sketch layer, and I'll show you what we're going to change about this in a second. But yeah, so we kind of rough in a little bit here, a little bit of a hairline like this. And I'm going to call it right at this point here for this demo. So this is our light pencil, and this is where you should start. This is where the program wants you to start. There are lots of notifications happening all the time that keep this program kind of like funny, has like kind of a sense of humor, but I'm not going to really cover those in this right now. But you start with your light pencil, and if you go over here to the light layer, kind of skipping the stuff above it for now, you can change the opacity of the light layer. So what you would do is you would do your little sketch, and if you're pretty happy with it, you're going to put it to like a lower opacity, and then you're going to switch to your pencil. And the pencil has a size of 5 by default, maybe, I'm not really sure. But you can use the bracket keys to make the brush bigger, like this, or you can make it smaller, so just like Photoshop. Pretty cool. So I'll use a pencil like this, and with the pencil you would start to draw in lines that are a little bit more defined. I'm probably gonna make the brush even smaller. I kind of regret I wouldn't normally draw both sides of the nose, but this is a demo. Never actually done a 2D storyboard demo before. I don't think I have anyway. But you would start to get a little bit more precise with your lines here. Draw the inside of the eye like this, right? So we're now tracing over our sketch, our light pencil sketch, and we're just getting a little bit more detail in there, right? Adding some new stuff on top of it, kind of iterating. I'm not happy with how this eye looks at all, but doing a quick demo for YouTube and drawing, not my specialty, and not my specialty at all. Oh my goodness, this is turning out terrible. But hopefully this makes sense. So you start with your light pencil, and then you change your light layer opacity, and you're basically sketching over it. And at a certain point, you're going to get this pencil part to where you like it, and I'm just going to call it kind of like here for time's sake, and you're going to turn the light layer all the way off, because now you're working on with your legit layer here. And maybe I'll just draw some quick hair. I'm going to turn my light layer back up so I get my reference back, and just draw some quick hair on this guy right here. Oh my goodness, this is a terrible drawing. But here we go. So yeah, there's your face. Turn off that, and then you move on to the pen. And the pen, you can kind of guess this is going to be just a little bit darker from here, and you're kind of inking here. And for me, I would probably even start with the inking phase, depending on how fast I was storyboarding and what I was actually doing with it. And it's up to your art style how you want to deal with this. But it is much bolder and blacker, and you're not supposed to make sketchy lines like I'm doing here. And I'm just going to call it here. Actually, no, I'll just trace this stuff out a little bit more. You'd spend a lot more time than I'm spending here. Get your blacks into a good place. Okay. I don't like this. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I wanted to practice and have like this look a little bit better for the review, but here we are. Oh my God, what just happened? Oh, terrible. Terrible. This is not a good demo. I apologize, Charles, and all the real storyboard artists out there who are cringing watching this, but you know, I'm more of a 3D person at this point. So now that we've inked this in, can't forget about this ridiculously realistic eyebrow here. We're gonna go to our brush. And the brush is interesting, right? So the way that this is working, I believe, I didn't talk to Charles about this specifically, but the back of the paper, or the color of the paper, is basically supposed to be white, and you're supposed to be building up on it with black, just like you would in the real world. So for instance, if I push down and I draw with the brush tool like this, it's gray, right? But if I go over it again, now it's building up and it's darker. So you see like that. And then if I go this way, hopefully this makes sense to you, that it's basically building up darkness or saturate, well, really darkness, just like paper would with Copic marker. So as you draw over it, every time it's getting darker and darker. And so that's the way that this program works by default. All these brushes work this way. I think he's rewriting the brush tool, but as of right now, this is how the brush tool works. So it's very realistic to like drawing with markers, and now I'm erasing it. So it's not like Photoshop where I can like redraw over it with a lighter color. It's basically, you're kind of stuck with it. So what I would do for this, if I was going to do a toned kind of paint board and not so much like a line board, is that I would give his face a little bit of tone. And I usually storyboard in Photoshop. So I'm used to that workflow, but I will show you how I think that this works here. And it's up to you. And we would say that the light is like coming from like this direction. Then we would go ahead with our darker color and we would add another thing of tone. So I'm going to make my brush a tiny bit smaller, and I'm going to start adding in shadow. So there'd be a little shadow at the hairline like this, something like this. Shadow would be there under the brow. These would just be a darker color. In general, the eyes would be pretty dark, like this. The sclera of eyes are not typically actually white almost ever, unless you're in an animated movie or color correction. Give the nose a tiny bit of shape, little drop shadow under here, a little bit of this maybe under the lip, and then the underside of the lip here would be a little bit darker under there. And you see I'm just kind of laying in tone over it, but what I'm doing here is I'm not picking up my brush, because if I pick it up and I start doing strokes, I'll show you on the hair. If I start doing this, I'm going to start to get like these weird overlapped lines, which is how markers work in the real world, but I'm going for something a little bit simpler. So I'm going to Apple Z to undo, which I think is up here as well. I think those are undo buttons. And I'm going to just not pick up my brush, because I just want to keep this in like kind of a flat two-tone kind of look. So we've given a little shape to this, and that's basically the workflow. I would consider this more or less done. They have this note pen, which you can like change the colors to. So I guess I could be like, well, I don't know, it's so big. I could be like, hi, here's a note, which I guess maybe some storyboard artists do. But what you can do is, this is the only pen that will actually draw over it with a lighter color. So what I could do here is I could add like a little bit of this, and I could also probably do that with the eraser. So this will make it back to white, I believe. So I could add a little bit of eye highlight, doing something like this. Little nose shine, little lip shine like that. So that's kind of like the rough overview of this. As far as the workflow, you start with the light pencil, you get darker, add some tone and some highlights and stuff like that, if that's how you draw. It all depends on you. Here, this will just move the whole thing around. I'm not positive on the layer system on this. I'm still trying to kind of learn about that, but this moves it around, and I think this scales it. Gives you kind of a preview of where the scale is going to be, so I just made his head smaller, and that's cool. So it's all digital. And now I could start, this whole process again, right? Do I still have my light layer? Oh, I do. It scaled the light layer. So I could clear this, and then on this same drawing again, start to be like, okay, well, let's make a body for this person, right? Kind of do the start again, but with a kind of a recomposed shot, if you will. We're not really doing shots yet. We're just mostly doing kind of just like a demo for the brushes. As we come up to here, these are all just overlays. So you can do a grid, you can do a quarter grid, These are thirds. This is a perspective thing, which is pretty cool, and it relates to something else here. So it gives you horizon, which is this dotted line, and then perspective lines for a single point perspective. So you can kind of, I'll just use the pen tool really quickly. You could draw, though they have, are these lines actually straight? It's hard to say, but you know, you could start to draw based on the perspective lines like this. Like if you were trying to make a cube, something like that. I'm actually not positive on these perspective lines, how these are actually working. They have a little bit of distortion this way, but you know, you can start to build, you can start building houses and buildings based on these perspective lines. Pretty cool. And then there's some stuff with layers. I don't remember exactly what all of that's doing. And those are captions, I think. So that's pretty cool. This is kind of like a really, really quick overview of the paint settings and the workflow that I think makes the most sense to me. And I will do a little bit of demo at the end of this video, which you can skip if it's getting way too long here. But I like this system. I like how quick and easy it is. It does feel like real world painting versus real world markers and pen is what this kind of feels like, kind of like a concept artist would do, versus Photoshop painting where I can paint right over it. It makes it simpler by limiting the choices you have. So I think that that's pretty cool. So let's move on to actually making some shots out of this whole system. One thing I wanted to note here as well is that you can send this to Photoshop, which I guess I'll just click it, right? Let's send this to Photoshop. It's opening up Photoshop CC. I need to update this. That's kind of I think that's an older build. Give it a sec. And now I'm right in Photoshop with my board. So that's pretty cool. If you want to then start to add photos to it, or, you know, use the Photoshop brush tool, which I'll show you kind of what that looks like. I'll add a new layer. That's Apple Shift N. This is the program I usually use. And, you know, the brush tool in Photoshop, you can go to town with it. There's just so many options. This is the brush that I use for all of my stuff. It has kind of a canvasy look to it. It has a texture, is what it's called. And just the dynamics of it, I can make like this. I can do that. This is all the same brush without changing sizes. And you can just do a lot with it. And then the paint engine for actually digital painting is quite complex as well. But that's the two Photoshop workflow there. I'm just going to go back. And I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to start doing some actual storyboarding now to show you how the storyboard part of this works. So if you hover over anything, it does a good job of telling you what the shortcuts are. And let's do a quick demo and make a little storyboard right here. So I'm going to do Apple, delete. Oh, I can't delete that unless I have another one. So how about now? Okay, cool. So here's our brand new board. So let's make a storyboard. And I'm going to skip for time the normal process. I'm going to just use ink. Okay. So let's make a little character storyboard. And this is from the demo I saw. This is what I think they were probably intending people to do. So let's make our little person here. This is going to be a little bit cartoony. It's not going to be the most realistic thing in the world, right? So here's our person, or our character rather. Actually, I don't like that mouth. Let's have him just sitting there chilling. Okay. And I'm going to do some pretty simple toning here. Just use the paintbrush. And again, I'm not picking up the brush because that would kind of start to show the strokes and kind of give that away, which I don't want to do. I guess I'll just go over his eyes, not a big deal. And there's a little bit of delay on the paintbrush right now, but I think that's because of the screen recording here, right? And then at the same time, I would do a drop shadow like that. And so because of that, the sun's coming from this direction, you would do something like this. Okay, and then without picking up again, I'm going to do a drop shadow, and I'm going to give the drop shadow just one more tone like that. Kind of sloppy, but anyway, that's the start of this. And so this is shot 1A, it says at the bottom. I'm not a pro at this, but you can change how long you want it to be. I'm going to leave it at the default of 2 seconds, and I'm going to rate for the dialogue humming. Say hum, hum. Like that. You can write the action, you can write some notes. There's our light layer, and we have our first shot. So let's see what happens here. So if I mouse over this, you can add a new one by hitting N. I can duplicate by hitting D, copy and paste as normal, and then you move it around with Option and arrows. So that's pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do here is hit D, and that didn't do anything. D, there it is, duplicated. So now we're on 2A. So we have a duplicate of it. So we're kind of like animating here. So I'm going to grab this brush, and I'm going to make another character. And this character is going to have a square head like this, kind of kind of Minecrafty inspired. I've been playing Minecraft with my son, so this is making sense to me here. And kind of a weird character here, and the perspective got real crazy here. Doesn't make any sense at all. But here's our other person, and you're going to be a happy person like this. Okay, I'm going to give this some quick tone really quick, but this is the workflow that I would probably go with, and I think this works really well. It's really simple. You don't have to worry about like getting the settings right. There's just 2 brushes. You pick the style you want. Maybe some people don't like to fill it in with tone, but I definitely like to. And we're going to have the sun again from the same position. So we're going to do something like this would be here. And I guess technically this would be darker too, like that. And then this side of the cube would be darker. And I think tone adds a lot to it. And having a little light direction and contact shadow just keeps it from being like a white psych. Or a complete, like, you know, a completely floating world, which I always find kind of bad for this type of stuff. I think that this drop shadow adds a lot to it. And then we'll make this one darker too down here like this, and has a little bit of tone. So with the arrow keys, I can go back and forth like this. So he is alone, and then he enters frame like that. And for this one, I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to say the dialogue is, hi. Okay. So I think if I hit this as captions, yeah, and it's also shortcut as C. Oh, has hum D in it. Okay. Oh, I see. I tried to duplicate, but I was in the text thing before. I see. So with captions on now, you can see that we're quickly building up this storyboard. So it's like he's humming. This person comes in. They're like, hi, what's going on? Okay. And then I'm going to do D again. I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on this thing, hit D, and now I'm going to just update the dialogue. He's going to say, where is my iPhone? Am I going to get in trouble from Apple from saying that? I'm just going to say, where is my phone? Like that. Okay. So let's see. This is it so far. Where is my phone? It's kind of unclear who's saying that actually. So what I'm going to do here is, wow, the eraser is tiny. Oh, it's because I was using it for drawing before. I'm going to delete you, right? And let's see if this works here. I'm going to take this shot and I'm going to turn it into a close-up like this, right? Oh, that didn't work out so well. Let's undo this. So if you scale past the canvas, it will delete that part of it. So that's really important to understand. But yeah, there. So now we did this. So where's my phone? It's pretty cool. I like this. So he's saying, just chilling by himself. The guy comes in, he's like, hey, what's up? Hey, where's my phone? Cool, I like this. So then we can take this one. I'm gonna hit D again. And to move it over, you can't click and drag, which I wish you could. You can hold Alt, arrow, 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 moves it over. Shot 4A. And we're gonna do the same gag with you, and we're gonna just make this bigger. I don't wanna clip. This guy's so much smaller, he could be like kind of the same size like this. He would be like, he's gonna say, I don't remember, ... like that. Okay, and let's see what we got going on here. So walks in, hi, where's my phone? I don't remember. And then I'm gonna duplicate this shot again, move it over. And there's gonna be, I'm gonna say there's just gonna be like a pause, like that, right? And I'm gonna duplicate again, and we're gonna do this. Let's see, I'm gonna grab the pen, and he's gonna pull something out with this imaginary hand, all of a sudden. And I'm gonna make his hand angled this way, and like this. And I'm gonna give him kind of like a scythe, like a reaper scythe, like that. Give this a little bit of tone. I'm gonna make the marker or the brush a little bit smaller. Oh, I drew into the arm, it's okay. A little bit of tone, a little bit of style. Okay, and give if the sun's this way, there'd be maybe a little bit like that, a little bit like this, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit on the under. And as far as this shadow, I don't know if I can really project this shadow, but it would be like, I don't know, like that or something like that. It's not the right shadow. I'm not even we're gonna get rid of the shadow and be like, whatever. Okay, so we have a little animation happening here, beautiful animation. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a new board. So is that N? You can hit the plus sign here, down there, or you can hit N. Let me do N. That's cool, that's pretty fast. And what I'm gonna do here is just use this. And so if you look at the drop shadow we had here, I'm gonna basically draw that drop shadow like this, right? So this is kind of the drop shadow of that person, like that, but kind of looking down at it. And I guess we would then also have his body would be kind of like here. So this is like kind of a close-up of that. I'm gonna color this all in. And this is a little abstract. Maybe I'm going too much into a demo for YouTube, but I wanted to make like an actual storyboard here of kind of a cartoon. Just so that you could really see like what this looks like. Not that again that I'm like a professional storyboard artist or anything, but kind of what this would look like. So here's like a close-up of his body. I don't know if that's like super clear here. And then all I'm gonna do now is drop a little bit of tone on this side to show that it's a little bit 3D, and then drop the shadow to be a little bit darker too. You know, and a real storyboard artist would spend a little bit more time, and maybe they wouldn't even use tone like this, but I think tone makes a lot of sense. It's really easy, and they give you a brush in this that adds opacity for you. It handles it. It's just like pen, and once you get used to it, which this took me about, I'd say like, this took me a good hour of playing with before I made this video to really get used to it, but now I completely understand how this workflow works. You don't have to deal with opacity or any of that. It's just part of the brush. So there's our shadow. That's a close-up. And then I'm going to hit D to duplicate it. And what I'm going to imply here is that is like this. I don't know if this is going to make that much sense, but we're going to imply that he basically got his head chopped off like this. That doesn't look right. I'm going to undo that one. Let's put it like, I'm going to put it like here, right? Like that. All right. Okay. In Photoshop, I wouldn't have to do this like, see, like right now I have to like re-ink over this, and maybe there's a workflow that I don't have to do this, but it's not too bad. You get used to it, and maybe this isn't like a painting app like I'm used to. I do paint boards, you know, I don't typically do just line boards. I like to imply lighting, I like to imply tone, like, you know, how are you supposed to draw a shadow? I guess you could use like cross-hatching or something like that, but anyway, so we have this, and I'm gonna go to maybe this color. I guess I'll do it with the pen, right? So this is showing a little bit of action, and it shows that his head just got chopped off. That's what this is supposed to imply, is that we went from here to that shadow and it got chopped off. I'm gonna write, and to just really sell it, I'm gonna say slice. I don't know if you can add music or sound effects to this yet. I don't think you have to really, but there you go. And then I'm gonna go back to this view, and I'm gonna hit D. I'm going to move it over to the 2-shot, and I'm going to actually, I guess I'll leave the scythe out. So we're going to redraw you with your head missing, right? Like this, chop off the shadow. This is really weird. I realize this, guys. I realize this is very odd to probably watch. And I'm going to draw your head over here on the floor. It's not the right size. We're gonna do a little bit bigger like that. Right, like this. Wait, what did his eyes look like? Yeah, they were just circles, right? Yeah, okay. And he's gonna be like watching like that. And I'm gonna do this, a little bit of inside, and inside of him the whole time was this guy's phone. Right, that's the end of this commercial or whatever this is. This is like some like weird Skittles commercial or something like that. Maybe it's a little bit too violent for Skittles, but someone will want this commercial, right, guys? This is completely usable content here. I'm gonna do a little bit of that, and tone this up here, like this. Drop a little shadow on that part. I should have done the drop shadow at the same time. I'm actually kind of having fun with this paint engine, and it is really quick. So what's nice about this, looking back at it after making this, and hopefully it's clear from watching the process, is that you don't have to deal with like layers or the brush settings or anything like that. You're just dealing with these down here, the raw boards, which you can just scrub through with your mouse or your keyboard, and you're just drawing with the pens you have, and you're dropping names of the shots and stuff like that, and it's really quick. And for this one, I'm gonna say my phone. He's gonna say my phone like that. Right, so it goes slice, he goes my phone, and then we're gonna do our last shot here. This is very silly, I realize, guys. If this has offended anyone, this cartoon violence, I apologize. Here's the top of his head, like that. And I'm just gonna finish it up with a little bit of tone as well. So as I finish up this kind of like ridiculous storyboard here, I hope that it's clear that this has been fun. This is a fun process, and I think that's what Charles and his team is set up to do, is to make storyboarding fun, because it is fun, but what gets to be an issue is the logistics of managing all the boards. Like if you're making a storyboard like I usually do in Photoshop, you're making an entirely new PSD per board, and then you have to save them and number them and keep them organized in a folder, or you're doing them on new layers, and it gets to be kind of cumbersome after a while. And what I kind of notice is that your brain wants to be mostly in one mode. It either wants to be in like create mode, which I'm mostly in here, though I'm kind of showing as well. It's a little bit different, the presentation. Your brain either wants to be creating or it wants to deal with logistics. It doesn't want to do both at the same time, or it can't really do both at the same time. And I think what this program does is it gives you like a really nice format to be able to just be creative and not have to deal with the logistics of the boards, because the boards are all here at the bottom, and you can just click around. You can add the shots if you want, or you can go and reorder them later. So it's kind of like drawing on paper with little note cards, and you can rearrange them down there, but with the plus side of digital, where I can move them around and scale them up, which is really nice. And I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna use the note pen for what I think it was really meant for, which is this, like that. And for the dialogue, we're gonna write Finn. Okay, so I'm gonna play this back, and they all have default 2 seconds, but you can like change the timing of them if you wanted to do this more like an animation. So I'm gonna hit play. Guy walks in. Hey, where's my phone? I don't remember. Pause. Scythe. Cut to this. Slice. My phone. Finn. We've made art today. We've made art. I hope you're all proud of the art that we made together, this storyboard here. And as far as getting this board out to the world, there's a couple different options, and this is another really cool part of this program. I didn't go over the shot generator. That's like its own thing. I think it's really cool, but I think it was it's something to cover later. If you guys like this video and you want to see me cover more stuff about it for some reason, I will do that. But I didn't cover the shot generator. But the last part of this is we've made our storyboard here, and there's a couple different ways of getting it out. So one is you can save it as an animated GIF, which will just turn this whole thing into a GIF based on these timings. Kind of interesting. If you export it for Final Cut Pro and Premiere, I guess I can just do that. There we go. It made a folder, and in it is all the different images, and then an XML with the timings of those images. So you could import this XML into Premiere, and it would drop these in as clips, and you can then start editing with these as well. You can start to re-edit this and add music and whatnot in Premiere. So that's pretty cool. It has a workflow to get from Storyboarder to Photoshop for a little bit more advanced stuff, and then it also has a workflow to get into an NLE to actually start editing this and delivering it to client and whatnot. I think that's pretty awesome. And the really cool thing, you can save just the images, is to export the PDF. And there's not even like any settings, it just drops the PDF in there, which is pretty cool. So let's open up this PDF here. And yeah, that looks great. You know, to compile this in Photoshop, I know from having to do this takes a lot of time. So they've basically done this all for you. It says YouTube review, how many boards there are, the aspect ratio, the page number. It just drops them all in there. Pretty cool. I like this feature a lot. It has all the little subtitles under there, and making these templates in Photoshop, it's definitely possible, but it's a lot nicer, I think, to have this program do it for you. It does watermark it with Wonder Unit Storyboarder though. I'll give it that though. It's a free app. I think there is some kind of like cheeky paid version that you'd have to look into it, but for the most part, it's completely free. Maybe there should be like a paid version where you don't get the watermark on it. I would not want this if I was delivering to client, but they may not care either. But that is our quick review of Storyboarder, the workflow. We didn't go over the shot creator. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do another video on that. But here's the story we created today, and I hope that this has given you a good overview of the program. So that wraps it up for this video. If you're looking for a new storyboard app, definitely go check out Storyboarder. It's free, it's awesome, and there's a really great Facebook community. Got caught up here with the fingers. There's a really good Facebook community that I'm a part of, where Charles and his team listen to feedback, and there's just a really great community of storyboard artists and filmmakers using this from all over the world. It's a really good time. If you like this video, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Any application or program or process that is about pre-production for the film industry, like storyboarding or previs, I'm all about it. Until next time, you guys get out there and plan better, storyboard better, shoot better. Cheers.